So if you're watching these in order, you'll probably be saying, hey Aaron, you lied. In the last video you just said that was all you're going to do in chapter 1, but it's not all I'm going to do in chapter 1. I just want to do a summary here at the end of everything, and I also I'd like to put a very fine point on one more thing in the scientific method, and that is the idea of a hypothesis versus a theory. So a theory in science is basically an idea that explains a broad range of phenomena. So gravity is a theory. The idea that we live on big plates, plate tectonics, is a theory. The fact that germs cause disease is a theory. The notion that life is made out of cells is a theory. So, in the same sense that all of those things are theories, evolution is also a theory. Okay? A theory is this concept that again supports or explains a broad range of phenomena and has been explained or supported time and time and time again by evidence. It's not the same thing as a hypothesis. So even though you might say, hey, I have a theory about why it's hot outside, or I have a theory about why my car won't start, those probably aren't theories. Those are probably hypotheses. And don't worry if you do that. I do it all the time. It's not scientifically accurate, but it's just your common speak, and that's fine. I also wanted to put a very fine point on the fact that evolution is the unifying sort of principle of all biology. Aldous Huxley once said, who was a biologist from the 1800s, nothing makes sense except for in the light of evolution. So a few things that you should know from chapter 1. You should know what is like the smallest thing that can be considered life. If you didn't get that, go back, watch the video, read the chapter. I just said this one, but what is the unifying principle of biology? What else should you know? You should know the characteristics of life. There are like 7 things that I listed that you should know. Those are there's different variations of those, but those are the ones that I want you to know. Characteristics of life, evolution, unifying principles, smallest thing. You should know about Louis Pasteur's experiments on spontaneous generation and like what was the point of those. Why did he do those? And which kind of leads us into what are the steps of the scientific method. And maybe think about how did Louis Pasteur follow those steps. You should know about the different levels of organization. So you should know that like an atom is the smallest particle you can have, and have it still be a thing, and have it still be identifiable, and have certain properties to it. You need to know that because we're going to be getting to chemistry pretty shortly here. You should know, so like, if you take a couple of atoms and you stick them together, which again we're going to start talking about in chapter 2, what do you form? Well, you form a molecule. And then on that hierarchy I listed what's after a molecule. It's like an organelle, right? So organelle is a bunch of molecules stuck together that perform a particular function. What's after organelle is like a cell. And cells could be considered individuals. Sometimes it takes a whole bunch of cells all stuck together to be an individual. But if you have a bunch of individuals living in an area, that's called a population. All of the populations in an area living together is called a community. Okay? What else? Yeah, so I would know smallest thing that could be called life, unifying principle of evolution, characteristics of life. What was Louis Pasteur up to with his experiments on spontaneous generation? What are the steps of the scientific method? what are the levels of organization and what comprises each of those. And you should probably know some stuff about the sizes of different things. So like atoms are smaller than molecules, molecules are smaller than organelles, organelles are smaller than cells, cells are smaller than populations, populations are smaller than communities, and so on. And you should definitely know what a theory means in science, and you should know that the common colloquial use of the term theory is not generally accepted by scientists. But again, we do use the term theory incorrectly all the time. But just because we use it incorrectly, you know, if you are speaking to someone on scientific terms, theory does not mean hypothesis. Okay? So that's kind of the gist of what you should know from chapter 1. Yeah, if you have any questions about any of that stuff or any of the stuff from the previous lectures, shoot me an email, let me know.